to this or talk about life on YouTube and on video 24/7. And because on the internet, time is irrelevant, as I've always said. Today's a Friday the 13th, 11th of 13th of November 2020. But hey, very soon we're going to go into 2021. So 2020 is going to be over soon. Aren't you glad, So Young? Okay, today's topic, I've got So Young, and it's a topic that is very close to our hearts for a woman. And I've done quite a few interviews with different women in different countries, European, American, and now Asian. Myself as Singaporean, and So Young as Korean. And this topic is a casual topic, but yet we can deep dive into our soul, deep dive into some of the background of this topic, which is about women, about affirmations of women. You know, we've come a long way. Those days whereby women are just seen, not heard. Women are just like procreation of the next generation. They are homemakers, and they're protectors of the young. However, we have walked through this journey as women in this movement of women, that we are now in this era whereby women are in a corporate world. Women are venturing out solo to seek their lives, to seek their happiness, to determine their destiny, and also to determine their destination, to determine whom they choose to be, whom to choose to be with, and what kind of life they want. I think the liberty is in the hands of women like never before, as compared to the past generation, even for my mom's time. So for today's topic, I invited So Young, and I have a very good conversation with her for the past two sessions, and a lot of things that she spoke about, and I hope the viewers and the listeners will also dial back to the past issues. She spoke about happiness, that her happiness comes first. And I think even though it's a few words, happiness comes first, right? 4 words, her happiness comes first, or my happiness comes first. It's only 4 words, but I think it embodies a deep philosophy, deep understanding, and it reflects a huge journey for her to emerge, and a lot of courage and bravery to acknowledge that she comes first, I come first. My happiness comes first, and then the others. And of course, the other people around me must be happy so that I'm happy too, right? That's a philosophy. So I'm inviting her again, So Young, to come here to share with us, especially the women listeners and the women viewers, this topic close to her. And I'd like to share also with her some of my journey as a woman at this stage of my life. Say hello to everyone. So Young, so that's a very long intro.
Hi, it's my pleasure to come on the stage once again with Vicky. And this topic is very important to me, very important to all women. And I think it's important to all our family members too, because we influence each other very much. And then getting to know each other and ourselves is very important. Nothing to be shy to talk about ourselves.
Yeah, and I think I like the way you said there's nothing to be shy about. And I think a lot of us have shied away from this topic. You know, women are so good at looking strong, or I should say looking all right from the outside. I mean, not only women, I mean anyone. You know, we all look out okay on the outside. We go to work, we come back home, we clean the house, we scrub the toilet, right? And then we take care of our families. And for me right now, I take care of my husband. I make sure the house is in order, and I do enjoy it. And sometimes I tell my husband, it is my job to take care of you, and it is my job to ensure that, you know, things are done well for you. Um, because I want it to, you know, I don't want it to be that it is your job to take care of me, right? I want it to be that it is my job to take care of you. It is my job to also protect you. So I remind myself that I have the power to do that. So I want, from the last conversation we had with So Young about this soul thing, and I got female friends who actually watched your trailer, which is it's only about 2 minutes to 3 minutes. You know, they're so wanting to know what's this gratitude diary. I want to do something also like that. Tell us and start off our conversation with your gratitude diary, how it has influenced you, how you start, and then how it sustains you throughout the days, and what kind of benefits you get out of it.
Uh, well, I've been writing this gratitude diary since 2018. And it wasn't regular. By then, I've been writing like a once a week or whenever I remember. But from this year, 2020, which is a very important year for me, I started to write more regularly. And then what do I write in my gratitude diaries? I review and reflect my day. And I try to pick up things that I appreciate. It's such as, okay, I woke up at 4 a.m. today again. I was happy to wake up. I'm very healthy. I'm thankful that I am healthy and good conditions. And it extends to uh, when I walk my dogs in the morning, and some neighbors say hi to me before I say hi to them. And it's just such a good feeling that people start to recognize our families, and I appreciate that they accept me as their neighbor, kind of things. And every day uh, is simple as like I'm grateful that my husband safely home, and then my three dogs are healthy and happy. Yeah, so all these small little things which we may take it as a granted, if I name it as this is a blessing and this is what I appreciate, that make me feel that I'm a very lucky person. And then that make me uh, that gives me happiness, that wow, I'm so blessed, and then I'm very lucky, and then that's full of energy for me to do all other things.
Yeah.
So it's like a reminder that how much I have, what I have, and then those I don't want to take it granted. And then by doing that, my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my friends and families, and even neighbors, it become getting better and better. So yeah.
And I want to ask, you know, in our first conversation, in the last conversation we had, we talked about, we left off whereby you say a lot of women, they still have this self unacceptance, right? They always see the inadequate part of themselves. And I do that too. I feel that, okay, um, you know, I hope that, I just wish that I'm like her. You know, like she's so beautiful, she's so rich, and you know, the way she deals with things, she's so confident, etc. You know, I wish that I'm like her, or I wish that da 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 da. Like, I mean, even though you say you wish, but you look at the other way, you feel that you are not sufficient. You feel that you are deprived. You feel that your life is not good enough. You feel that you're not a good enough person. So that makes me always feel that, observe the people around. And when I start observing the people around, a lot of women are in that mode. And so am I. Like, okay, um, you know, I should, I think I'm really am not good enough being a wife. I think I'm not good enough being in my profession, etc. I think I could have gotten a higher position. Maybe I'm not good enough to in a particular position to manage a bigger company, etc., etc. So there's a lot of self-doubt, self, um, I should say, unacceptance of who you are, and never thinking that you are good enough for the world. You're good enough for your husband. You're good enough for the job. And then magnify that goodness. I feel that we do not have enough of opportunity or times or even recognizing this is something that we should be doing. Now tell me about these conversations that you have with your girlfriends that they say, hey, I wish my husband is this conversation. And what goes on in your mind and what you hope that can be better.
Yeah, most of the time when I talk to my female friends, I can feel not only my feeling, but also they say by themselves that they're always envious of somebody. And then not only envious, they always feel that they are not good enough, and then the lack of confidence.
Yeah.
And I feel very sorry for them because it seems like they are constantly looking outside, but they are not looking inside of themselves because they don't know how much potential they have. They don't know how talented they are. They don't know how special they are. That's why maybe they don't even put effort to recognize or no time to look at themselves because they're too busy looking at outside. So I think it's really simple. That if you change direction of who you are looking at from here to here, and that's the way of you can be happy. You will realize how special you are, how
Wow.
valuable. Yeah.
I like the way you said about looking from here to here.
Yeah.
Very, very well said. That is the highlight. And that fix and that is like paradigm shift, right? You're kind of like
Yes.
changing the whole world. And the thing is
Exactly.
that instead of women spend a lot of time in front of the mirror, right? And like looking at the YouTube, people are doing their eyebrow, their makeup, and everyone is talking about lipstick and all this. Um, I think a lot of times to echo what you say, like women looking at the mirror or human being looking at the mirror, or they're looking at the external facade and the external image. And like what you say, we don't spend enough time to look at the inner self and to appreciate yourself. Now tell me the process for yourself. When you first started coming to Singapore as a young girl, 20 years old, 20 plus, you were independent. You tried to seek your future on your own. And now you've emerged a different person. I'm very sure you are a different person now. Tell us what made you do that. What was then so young and what is the now so young? What's the difference?
The reason why I adventure myself in overseas from Korea at a young age was because of a family background. I'm from broken family, and my only and most important goal was I didn't want to live like my mom. I didn't want to live like my family, my parents. So, but I didn't know how to escape from that vicious cycle of my parents and then their parents and poor, not educated, unhappy, and always get into trouble. I didn't know how to escape from that cycle, and I decided to pluck myself out from the family tree to go somewhere that they can't reach me. Yeah. And I thought no matter how bad, how dangerous, still will be better than I repeat the lifestyle that my parents went through. So maybe starting point was not very pleasure. However, once I started thinking, I had some kind of confidence that this way should be the way that I should try on. And then I realized what I gained. I appreciate my parents a lot. Why? Because they didn't stop me. Even though they couldn't support me financially or emotionally by then, but however, they didn't stop me. I really appreciate them a lot. If I was a family, rich family, I was come from rich family, or those are the normal, very ordinary family, I don't know what kind of life I will live, and I don't know whether I had this much fun and adventure. Therefore, yeah, whatever happened or whatever conditions I came from, I am really grateful and appreciate. And by then, last interview I told you, I've been living in Singapore for 18 years before I came to Hong Kong. And while I'm living in overseas, because of language issue, because of cultural difference, I was always suffering from inferior complex. I'm a foreigner, and I will never be able to go into that circle that Singaporean has such a strong. I'm a Singaporean, and you are the foreigner kind of, I felt that it's a discrimination, but I don't know. It's a right way to say.
Yeah.
However, I start to realize the strength that I had. Maybe it was desperation. I had to live there. I had to make a living. I had to support my family financially. I need to continue with my job and career. So I had to gain confidence. It was not an option. I didn't have a choice. So I start to force myself to see uh, what kind of strength I have, and then how can I be different or how can I be better. And and by then I didn't have the confidence of myself, and now I'm much more confident. The other day I asked my husband, what's the difference between 4 years ago when we've been dating and then now? And he said, it seems like you are more confident now, you are more clear with your life. And that's true. Marriage also changed me to improve my self-esteem. Yeah. Now I have a more time to, I enjoy thinking about my life. I enjoy thinking about myself compared to last time. Last time I was constantly judging myself whether am I going to get promotion or not? Am I going to be loved by my colleagues or not? Always been judging myself based on others' eyes. But now I have a husband who always, your happiness comes first. You are special. He gave me so much love. And then I start to think that it's no longer important to judge myself based on other people's eyes. So I don't know whether I'm answering to your question or not, but
Yeah, I want to ask you, when you first left, you were really young, in your 20s. And you know, being young at that time and not knowing the world, you know, that gave us a little bit of courage. You know, we just went. But I also want to ask, could you explain in 3 things that you have 3 kinds of thoughts or 3 things? You could have many, many things, but I just want you to like list 3 things that you hold on to that, hey, it's going to be better.
3 things.
At that time.
You mean my goal or
anything? It could be anything, because one of the things I know that you wanted to leave. So the push factor for you to leave your family was really strong, right? Was there something in you that you found was important that you can share with young people who are seeking independence, who are fearful, that you can give them 3 things to be armed with that if they are going to a different place, it could be a geographical different place, or it could be a different phase of their life, you know, that there are three things that you thought was important for you to hold on to, so that you could go from one phase from Korea to Singapore and then settle in. What are the three things you think that people can take away?
I think first is I don't know. By then, I was too young. I didn't have that such a strong three things to share by then. But now when I
When
look
you look
back,
back,
by then, if I don't try by myself,
yeah,
I have to depend on somebody. That
correct.
was first thing. I have to do it by myself. I have to be responsible for myself. And how to be independent, then you have to try, and you will go through the process by yourself, and then you make mistakes and learn from them. Otherwise, nobody knows, nobody can tell you what's going to be next. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
yeah, and second is actually by then I wanted to get out from the poor family. I wanted to be rich, but when I stay in same environment with my family and parents, I thought I will continue with their bad habit or wrong habit or whatever lifestyle they have. So I need to mix around with the different people. I need to really put myself into totally different
Environment.
environment. Otherwise, I will not discover my potential. Yeah, I used to interpret or analyze myself based on how my family is doing, because I thought that I'm one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was limiting myself too much.
Yeah. And I think what you say is very deep. Even though maybe at that time you were really young, you did not think too much because you took action without too much analysis. Now that we are different phase of our life, we look back, hey, we analyze our actions. We're based on certain basic principles. Like what you say, number one, try. Put yourself in a different environment. Break away from a vicious cycle. And then even you do not know, just go forth. And that took a lot of courage. And there were the dynamics of push and pull. So, you know, a particular situation was pushing you away. And the internal situation was, you know, that you had to do it. So that kind of pulled you away, you see. And you know, as we can see now that you are doing very well with your life, and that took a lot of effort. It didn't come just like that. You know, it took a very long journey as a woman. And I want to ask you, it was particularly difficult for you as a South Korean, even as an Oriental woman. I should say, not only as a South Korean, even as a Singaporean girl, Singaporean woman, you know, maybe whichever part of Asia they come from. And I'm not saying other countries doesn't matter. I'm just saying that it is particularly a country that is very strong in its culture, very strong in compliance, and for your family to let you go like a bird, you look back and you think, hey, it was amazing. They did not like hold me back.
Yeah.
And they could have at any time say, no, so young, come back, we need you, right? But they let you take charge of your life, and that's very amazing as a South Korean family. What do you think?
Okay, thank you to say how great my family was by then. But actually, when I was young, my biggest complaint about my parents was
Yeah.
they have no interest to know about my life. They never asked me my scorecard. They
Yeah.
didn't want to know whether I want to go to university or not, whether
Yeah.
who I'm hanging around with. They
Mm.
never had interest to know about me. However, when I look back now, how grateful, as you said, they didn't hold me back. So whatever reason was, they didn't intervene too much about my life. In the end, it worked well for me.
Yeah, and I think that being parents is so difficult. I mean, can you now think back, like, if they had said something that puts you down, make you feel lousy, kind of like press you, you know, things would have changed. Maybe in their mind they did, or maybe in some bits and parcel, but maybe it wasn't that much that they need to really stop you. You know, they actually did just like let you go. And being an Oriental, oh my gosh, like I'm going to, oh, I'm just really going to like, like wonderful parents.
I think as a daughter or as a child or as a wife or somebody's girlfriend or whatsoever, first we have to be financially independent from the other party.
Yes,
Otherwise, it will involve a lot of
yeah,
terms and conditions and yeah. By then, my mom, yeah, my mom said, I can't afford you to go overseas to
yeah,
study.
yeah,
And then that's the bottom line. But if you can settle your own, I can't stop you. Kind of that. So I was fine. I said, just let me with the one semester's,
yeah,
school
with that.
fees. That's it. That's it. After then, I did a part time. I get a scholarship and everything. And I think a lot of circumstances, husband and wife also. If wife keep depending on husbands, and you put yourself as I can't live by my own. I can't make a living for myself. And then I always inferior, and then I have to listen to him or you are limiting yourself.
Yeah,
But now, how I think is as a housewife, you should take this as a professional job. This is your job. So it's
yeah,
not you are depending on him. You are doing your part to get the financial support. Husband has to pay for the domestic chores we are doing.
yeah.
So be professional on that, and then don't be shy or don't feel inferior complex on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to also like summarize and encapsulate that point. Because you leaving home at such a young age and you left for 18 years, and of course you did go back, visit, your residence was in a different country than in your parents. And I'm sure it must have been such a long journey, like what you say, the struggles of being alone, having no one to turn to for answers, for decisions, going through difficult times on your own, and making your way in the world as a young woman, and not falling into certain pitfalls of temptations, but doing things right with yourself. And that must have been a tremendous journey because you left home for 18, years as a resident that is outside the country without help, right? You didn't have any family in Singapore, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I say that you are this woman that actually really emerged from this young, independent girl, finding the footing, and now coming to this stage whereby you can look back after 20 years and you look back and say, hey, I think I did well. I can put a pat on my back and say, hey, I think I did well. And hey, I think it's not bad. I think I led a good life, and things have turned out really good, which wasn't an accident. It must have been very hard work, determination, diligence, and also keeping to that path. you know, that you thought that that was the path that you planned or that was the right path, etc., etc. Tell me maybe one or two examples of very difficult times when you were away from home in Singapore or just away from home that you put in a spot whereby you felt that you were alone when things were closing in. Was there one or two occasions in this 18 years away from home in Singapore? Yeah, when you were residing in Singapore?
Actually, I was very lucky. My career was very smooth in Singapore.
Yeah.
And Singapore is even to me, Singapore is a second home to me. And the reason why I settled down in Singapore is just such a it's a first world country, and
Yeah.
which are safe and people civilized and
Yeah.
equal opportunity. And I only can say good thing about Singapore. It was a really wonderful journey for me to go from younger became a woman.
Yeah.
Without Singapore's help, I can't see what kind of life I had. Yeah, even in Korea, I think it could be very hard. So
Yeah. Your journey of this self-search, did it come naturally to you about, of course, when we were put alone, we grow. Just like when I was in France, I was in France alone for a few years, for some years, not as long as you. Um, I, I think at that time, things were very good for me. And but when I look back now that in 2020, because I'm put in Singapore, and I look back, I felt that hey, it may not have turned out that way for myself, just to share with you and to share with the audience. If I didn't have a few things in place. Of course, one of the most important thing for me as a Christian is that if God hasn't been there and sustained me throughout, I don't think I could have had such a good experience in a foreign country alone and doing things that was so difficult as a foreigner. I think my faith helped me, number one. And there are people who tell me, oh my God, Vicky, it's so difficult for you in France. It's a different language. And you got to pick up a new language. And yes, I did. I picked up a new language. It was really tough when I had to communicate difficult conversations and difficult concepts. It's not just like hi, bye, bonjour, au revoir. You had to communicate deep concepts because I was building a business. I wanted to test myself, my limits. And I believed, and I think it kind of like made me push me to this limit of self-belief that I think I can do it, because I was alone. And my faith helped me, and also my self-belief increased. And because I took it really positively, just to share with you, even when there were negative times, even though there were times where there's a lot of how should I say, people were shutting in at your face, the doors were being closed, etc. But I told myself that, hey, this is a learning experience. And who has such an experience that you are there in a foreign country? Not many people could have had that. Some people would try, some people wish, some people, it's in their dreams. A lot of people think about it, they never take the action. So I told myself that, hey, how fortunate am I to be able to experience this so-called negative experiences, which to me, at the end, they were not negative experiences. They were just experiences.
yes.
Experiences that it could be in different kind of pendulum, right? In different kind of continuum, right? It comes in any kind of taste, right? I mean, you got the kimchi of life, you got the curry chicken of life. You got a char kway teow of life. You got a rojak of life. You know, you got the sushi of life. You know, it's like you've got different kinds of flavor, right? If you got different kinds of flavor for food, you would have different flavors of life. So that kind of kept me going, and I think the bottom line is that my faith and my belief really kind of sustained me. And of course, at that time, I was going through very difficult times, like yourself, because we're having this conversation, um, you know, a bi-directional conversation. I was going through a lot of things in my life. I was going through a grief journey because my mom just passed, and yeah, at that time, and you know, in a way that opportunities granted and God put me there, you know, in a foreign country, and that kind of things sustained me because I was pushed away from a very bad state in Singapore because I was going through very difficult times. I was going through grief, and that was, I can tell you that's the worst thing that anybody could go through. I mean, for myself or certain people. Um, and a lot of things set in for my family, a lot of fights. So I should say not fights, but a lot of negative energy. Okay, unseen fights. I mean, it'd be good to fight over it, right? Let's fight over it and then reconcile over it. It could have been easier if people just fight in their faces, but sometimes being Asians or being Oriental family, like you don't really fight, but you kind of have this cold war, which
Yes.
it makes it so much harder to break through. So I made it there because I had the push factors, you see, and there were the pull factors. You're going to a new country. It's really exciting, and it's something like, okay, it's a dream. Or if you always wanted to come to France or always wanted to like go to another country, it's like, okay, this is a dream. So that was the pull factor for me. And then what sustained throughout, when there were challenges, when there were refusals, objections, um, rejections, things that put me through was a mindset. A mindset like, it's not that bad, right? I mean, how bad could it be when there are people who wants to live, but they can't, right? What bad situation can we be in? Come on, even if you lose your job, even if a company collapse, I mean,
Yes.
how bad can it be? It's like,
Yes.
how bad can it be when you compare with someone, and I was at interface with life and death, of course, and how bad could it be when people wanted to live, but they couldn't and they had to go? I mean, come on, what's there to complain about in life? So, you know, that kind of things kept me going when things were like kind of rough. But in general, I never thought it was rough. In general, I thought it was like, it's such a breeze for me. Um, I think because when I went there, my mindset was tuned already.
Mm.
I'm ready for the world. My mindset was tuned already that, hey, things are going to be negative. We got to take it positive. So that to me, when the negativity came or the challenges came, in other people's definition, to me it wasn't. To me, it was just a situation. And also because I was being pushed from this situation whereby I was moved away from a very painful environment. That was like heaven to me. How bad can that be? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
how bad can that be? In fact, it was like such a wonderful experience, just like get away.
Yes. Yes. I don't understand.
Yeah. So, you know, and of course saying that being a woman and being someone who have left the country like yourself, um, that built my strength. That built my strength. And me being alone gave me a lot of time for self-search.
Yes.
Even though for you, it's slightly a different dynamics because you practice yoga, you cleanse your mind, and you had a very probably a journey that you were going through at a different frontier, you said a different plateau, a different platform, and I was going through also and a kind of a journey on my own. Um, and also in a mode of self-search.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like you, I was so much in this being alone space, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when I just have Skype with my husband, FaceTime with my husband, he would just say, oh yeah, I left when my husband was in Singapore and I was there alone. It could have been tough, but he was so encouraging because we wanted to have we knew that this was going to be a chance of a lifetime to do something, you know, it's just a switch, you know.
It
And
means your husband is a Singaporean and stayed in Singapore and you went to France alone?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow.
So we were separate. Yeah. So
7 years?
yeah, we were, we were, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So
So
special.
a lot of people thought it was really tough for us, but we had a lot of 24/7 hour FaceTime. And he, you know, when I was sleeping, he was awake, he was at work. I mean, there was little time
Yeah.
that we were together on Skype. There were very little time that we were in common time zone, that we could see each other. There was very little time. And there are some times where he could ask me like, we don't even talk. And I was going through things that I don't really share. I mean, how do you describe? Just like you when you were in Singapore, right? I mean, how would you describe when you're in a situation? When you're in a situation, you can't really talk about it. You know what I'm trying to say? You can only talk
Yeah,
about it when you are observing the situation from the outside.
that's
And now you
right.
can look back.
That's
So
right.
I wasn't able to talk about the situation, but I was going through like rejections, etc. But I took it in my mind. It's like my basic tenet, which is like a basic principle, is when I'm given another morning to wake up to, you know, isn't that a second chance at life? It's like, hey, God, give
Yeah,
me a second chance at life. So
that's
I never thought that things are going to be difficult because I've seen the worst. I mean, I have seen the worst literally in front of my eyes. So
yeah.
what else can be bad? What else can be worse? You know, every time that you wake up, it's like, hey, I mean, thank God, it's like I'm still living. It's like my hands and my
Yes.
legs I'm
Yes.
still on the street. Like, hey, come on, man! Like, what's there to 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 complain about life? I mean, yeah, okay, you missed the train. Okay, the bus has left it before you arrived, right? You know, I mean, people are looking at you like, okay, the bus, shit, it's like 10 20 minutes I'm late. Da, 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 da. I mean, now I'm put in the mood like, I mean, think about the people without the legs. How could they take a bus, right? Think
Yes.
about the people who can't even. I mean, there are people like in the trolleys and not. I mean, in their wheelchairs and they're trying to like go up the bus, public transport, and people who are struggling and all this is like people living in the streets. I mean, how can anybody even complain? Like, if you lose your job, okay,
Yes.
it's going to be hard, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It is not going to be easy, but let's just put us in a spot whereby it has been so tough. What could be tougher than people lose their life? You know, so
Yes.
I always have the thing that um it's like, yeah, it's like it is shit, it's like a shit situation. It's like, so what? It's like, I mean, we have another day to give it a try.
That's right.
Yeah, and I like the way we are having this conversation, and also because we're in this mode, and because we're in this stage of our life, we can revisit a certain phase of our lives. And this certain phase of our lives, for a woman, for a man, we being women who are more introspective, we dive deeper. And like I say, I'm not a man. I don't know how men think, okay? But me being a woman, I think a lot of my girlfriends, you know, they all struggle. Um, it takes time. But sometimes I ask myself, so yeah, I'm going to ask you this question. You have come this stage of your life that you have discovered your footing in life, your footing on earth. And your formula for peace in your inner heart, your formula for seeking internal and external harmony, accepting yourself, believing in yourself. My question to you is, have you ever thought, why hadn't my teacher told me that? Why hadn't anyone told me that when I was younger, when this is such a big deal in our life? Have you ever thought of that?
Yeah, last interview you mentioned that
Yeah.
a couple of times. And then some reason, yeah, naturally during my shower, I thought about that. Why nobody taught me, and the why is not in the school module to teach teacher or textbook to teach. It could be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Then I'm thinking, if somebody taught me
Yeah.
how I should think, maybe it never lead me to this stage of life.
Journey. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Journey.
have to, this value of this formula, it has to be find out by yourself.
A life journey, your own journey. Yeah.
Yeah, you, because everyone have a different background and different wish, different character, everything. So there's no one thing that applicable for everyone. So if we have a 10,000 people, 10,000 different way of formula to make yourself happier, and then self-realization and all this.
Yeah.
So it's the reason why textbook cannot come out with the formula one that what like a wonder drugs. It doesn't work that way, I think.
Wonder drug. Okay, you know, we have had this bi-directional conversation, and I actually do seldom talk about this. Um, I really seldom talk about this, about what we had, you know, and that's why, because there isn't such an occasion for me that I sit down and I think about the journey before in a kind of like serious manner, you know, about really like just being in that mode. Is like an essay that you need to write about yourself. You know, you put into yourself, okay, write a 500 word or 1,000 word essay about how you've been through. I know, but to me, like this conversation is so important. It's so important. And we talked about relationships, and I still have friends who are struggling through relationships, and I think um, fate does have its hand in relationships, bringing the right person at the right time. Um, and one aspect. But on another aspect, I do really go and seek through. Maybe someone coming into your life or relationship or choosing someone, it is also a methodology, or there is a method to it. Like I got friends who are matchmade in India, and you know that even in times like this, in the new technology world, there are friends who are still being matchmade in very traditional way in India. And then, I'm thinking, actually, it's not. It is existent. People going to match.com, right? They're trying to match make themselves because times are so difficult for people to meet, especially in this pandemic situation. How can you ever go out dating?
Yeah.
You can't even meet someone who's a stranger, right? You don't know where he has been to or where she has been to, right? And you're not going to ask someone, have you had a test? Have you had this COVID test? Can you show me your certificate before I meet you? So I'm just thinking, like, isn't it going to be like even so hard for a lot of people? And you know, if you hadn't had a vaccination, you better tell the other person. You know, but what I'm thinking of is real. Because in this era of even in a corporate world, I got girlfriends successful, and the more successful it is, the harder it is. Because you don't meet guys on par with you, and you don't meet guys higher than you, and people who are on par with you, higher than you, or lower than you, they're so afraid of you.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it so much harder for a certain group of women who are still in this journey of seeking a proper relationship or a real relationship that leads to somewhere. Like what you say, the 100-day test. The 100 days, 100 days, 100-day test. And you know, that really helps my friend, because I was discussing that with my friend over the phone. She said, good, I'm going to use that. She said, how smart? I said, yeah, you know, that's the litmus test. You got to put a time frame at certain things, right? And
Yeah.
and compounding that kind of search with not knowing yourself, and not having this handbook, like what you say,
Yeah.
makes it so much harder for a woman who's out there trying to build a career, not because they've been pushed. Okay, a few things in play: ambition, but I would say education, opportunities, proving yourself, making yourself that self-worth, because you needed the external affirmation. I think a lot of things are in play now. You needed a position, you needed a company, you needed a brand, you needed people to say that you are Mr. Madam so and so, the general manager of so and so. So either prove to the world or prove to yourself. And I'm going to tell you, I'm guilty of that too. But I'm in a position that I was guilty of that. That's why I'm so happy to just doing my podcast and my YouTube now and giving the stage to other people. Because I've emerged and I've gone up from there, you see. For many reasons, it could be because you're given the education, because you are given the opportunities, because you are being told that you have these opportunities, you're supposed to go out there, you're supposed to, you know, bring home the income, etc. Because you have been given opportunities by education, by your family, they've supported you, they invested in you, da, 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 da. For whatever external reasons, a woman out there, okay, who's seeking a balance between like career, affirmation from the world, self-affirmation from the inner core. And if this is not sought, it makes that relationship part even harder. Can you see that dynamics in play? And that relationship makes it, and it's a big part of our lives. I mean, a big part of a lot of women's life. Not every woman. My aunt is single, and she's in her 60s, 70s. She's been single she has been single her whole life. You know, so for a certain segment of people, it is very, very, very important. You know, that kind of thing, that kind of forces that comes in play for women. To me, it's stronger. It pulls us in every part, and it makes it harder for us. Okay, I hope that we can bring our talk to the next level with you, So Young, because I realize that it's already 60 minutes we've got. And you've got to go and do your job, your responsibility. And like me, likewise, me too. I think I always feel that it's my job.
Yes.
Yeah, and I feel, and I was telling my husband that, I think I mentioned to you, right? Don't worry, don't be anxious. It is my job to protect you, and it's my
Yes.
job to take care of you. Okay, you have me. Don't worry. Whatever happens, I'm here. I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
as
That's
much
what
as
I
our vows must be two ways, right?
Yeah.
We can't say that, hey, I'm looking for a man who's going to do this to me, give me this, and like,
Yes.
I can't do that for him. It's not fair. It's like, I mean, I'm going to tell you, like, you have me, man. Come on. Like, don't worry, things are going to be okay. I'm for you. Whatever's going to happen is like, I'm going to be there. It's an hour, but I enjoy so much um, with you. And is there a final concluding sentence you want to share with our audience from your heart? And hopefully we can take this to a next level if we do meet sometime down the line when you have a slot. About women, it's always a deep dive. It's like an ocean; it gets deeper and deeper. And I think you're someone who really goes into deep conversations. So is there a final sentence, a final conclusion for the next 15 seconds?
Um, I wish, include myself, I wish everyone, not only women, but every individuals, please put effort to think about yourself, not about others. Your eyes stop looking at others, try to look at yourself and think, why do I like this? Why is this important? We have to keep thinking and keep asking questions to ourselves. And then don't be lazy, but step by step answer to the question that we ask to ourselves. Then we will finally take ownership of our life, not because of
Ownership of life.
social pressure, peer pressure, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Most important thing, yes. I think for I feel for myself. I make decision for myself, and I enjoy myself to who I am. We don't have to impress anyone. Yeah.
I like the conclusion. We don't need to impress anyone. We don't need to impress strangers. And don't be lazy. I like that because it takes time and effort to invest in yourself.
Yes.
It takes time, and it takes difficult questions that has difficult answers, that has probably answers that doesn't appear in a sentence. It doesn't appear tomorrow. It takes a whole long journey. And with that, I'd like to thank you so much. There's a lot of things that we can talk about, and it's my sincere pleasure, my sincere hope that we can have this conversation to dive in deeper, to talk about not only women, but me, I can only talk about myself as a woman, but not only for women, for human beings, like what you say, what makes you happy and why? What makes you unhappy and why? I think that takes a lot of investment in that search. So I hope that we can talk about that. Are we able to schedule a time for another 30-minute talk? Let's shorten that so that we can have something very focused. Probably in the next 2 weeks, are we able to have a conversation again, So Young? And I know that you have a lot of jobs, your dogs. 3 dogs.
Let's see how the schedule goes on.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, So Young. Send my regards to Tailing. Wonderful couple. I know you guys through the internet, and my wish is that you guys have all the joy and the fortune and the blessings of God and protection and safety from God. Every day, every step.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. See you again. Bye.